Imagine waking up one day with the unsettling realization that the life you've been living isn't truly yours. That every decision you've made, every belief you hold, and even the desires driving you didn't arise from the depths of your being, but from the expectations, conditioning, and invisible influences of the world around you. Think about it. How much of who you are reflects your authentic self, and how much is a carefully constructed mask shaped by external pressures? How often do you feel like you're merely playing a role, living a script written by society, your childhood, or the fears whispering in the back of your mind? Today we'll delve into one of Carl Jung's most powerful ideas. Life doesn't truly begin until you find yourself. But what does it really mean to find yourself? Is it just about awareness? Or is there a deeper, more transformative process that few dare to undertake? Stay with me, because on this journey, you'll uncover the hidden forces that have shaped your identity. You'll understand why most people never truly find themselves, and how you can break that cycle. The ultimate truth we'll reveal is perhaps the most powerful of all, one capable of changing not just how you see yourself, but how you relate to the world. Carl Gustav Jung was a pioneer of depth psychology, a thinker who dared to explore what many avoided, the vast hidden realms of the unconscious. Unlike other psychologists of his time, Jung didn't believe mental health was about conforming to norms. He saw psychological evolution as a path to individuation, the process of becoming your most authentic self, and most never take that path. Most people remain trapped in a version of themselves, shaped by external forces. They live according to others' expectations, never questioning whether their lives truly reflect who they are. They seek validation externally, believing happiness comes from approval, success, or fitting in. But deep down, there's a quiet unease, a persistent sense that something is missing. Jung believed true life begins when we stop running from ourselves. But before we discuss what it means to find yourself, we must first understand what prevents it. From the moment we're born, we're conditioned, we're given a name, an identity, and predetermined roles. We're taught what's acceptable and what's not, what's rewarded and what's punished. This process is so subtle, so gradual, that we rarely question it. We adapt, we conform, and over time, we begin to suppress the parts of ourselves that don't align with expectations. Think back to your childhood. Were there moments when you expressed yourself freely and faced disapproval? Maybe you were told to stop dreaming, to not be so emotional, or that certain desires were wrong. That's how you learned to hide parts of yourself, to tuck them away where no one could see them. And so began the construction of a mask, what Jung called the persona. The persona is the face we show the world. It lets us function in society, interact with others, and gain acceptance. But here's the problem. The more we identify with that mask, the further we drift from who we truly are. We start believing we are that image, forgetting there's something far deeper beneath. But if there's a mask, there's also what we hide. The flip side of the coin is what Jung called the shadow. If the persona is what we show the world, the shadow is everything we conceal. It's the collection of repressed aspects, our fears, unspoken desires, uncomfortable emotions, and even unrecognized talents. Everything we were taught to deny, everything we buried to be accepted, lives in the shadow. But the shadow doesn't disappear just because we ignore it. It doesn't dissolve when we deny it. Instead, it operates silently from the depths, influencing our thoughts, emotions, and reactions. The parts of ourselves we reject don't die, they become unconscious, and from there they control us in ways we don't understand. Have you ever felt an intense aversion to someone for no apparent reason? Has another person's behavior deeply irritated you without explanation? Jung said that often, what irritates us in others is a reflection of what we've repressed in ourselves. He called this projection, attributing to others what we refuse to acknowledge in ourselves. And here's the most important part. The shadow isn't your enemy. Within it lie the keys to your true wholeness. What you've hidden won't destroy you, it completes you. Jung taught that psychological growth isn't about eliminating the shadow, but integrating it. It's about looking inward, facing what you've denied with honesty. When you do, you tap into a source of inner power, authenticity, and freedom you never imagined possible. This is the true beginning of the journey, when you decide to stop running from yourself and dare to look into the depths of your being. Are you ready to discover who you truly are? Because what comes next will challenge everything you thought you knew about yourself. Most people believe they already know who they are. They define themselves by their name, occupation, history, or culture. But Jung invites us to go deeper. What if yourself is just a surface, a facade built from memories, fears, and expectations imposed on you? Jung claimed that within every human lies a hidden world, a vast internal landscape filled with forgotten memories, repressed emotions, unrecognized desires, and untapped potential. Finding yourself isn't about inventing a new character, it's about discovering what's been waiting within you all along. Have you ever felt a deep nostalgia for something you can't name? A quiet inner calling, as if a grander version of yourself is trying to awaken? That's not fantasy. It's your unconscious speaking to you. It's the voice of your soul, urging you toward a more authentic life. Jung called this process individuation. It's the path to wholeness. It's not about becoming perfect or eliminating flaws. It's about uniting all parts, light and dark, accepted and rejected, conscious and unconscious. But to integrate these parts, you must first face them. And this is where many stop, because honest self-reflection hurts. It means acknowledging aspects of your personality you've ignored. It means doubting beliefs that gave you security, facing the fears that limited you, revisiting wounds you've carried as if they were part of your identity. And so we run, we distract ourselves, we fill our days with work, social media, noise and constant activity. We avoid silence with ourselves, because in silence, truth emerges, and truth is the only thing that can free you. The more we avoid silence, the more we ignore the messages our psyche tries to send us. But they don't disappear. They manifest in other ways: unexplained anxiety, self-sabotage, empty relationships, a constant sense of being lost. Jung said the unconscious is always speaking to us, but we've forgotten how to listen. If you pay attention, you'll see patterns. You'll see how your deepest wounds have guided many of your decisions. You'll see how repressed desires express themselves in behaviors you don't understand. You'll see how the emotions you avoid end up ruling your life from the shadows. Take a simple but powerful example: the fear of rejection. Countless people live paralyzed by the fear of being judged or abandoned. They'd rather please, avoid conflict, and hide their true thoughts to maintain harmony. But where does this fear come from? Is it really about others' opinions, or something deeper? Jung would say it's an unrecognized wound, perhaps a childhood experience, a moment when you weren't heard, or were made to feel your authenticity was unacceptable. That experience didn't vanish, it was recorded in your shadow, and from there, it still guides your behavior. Most never realize this. They think, that's just how I am. But that way of acting is just an adaptation, not your essence. Now listen closely. When you finally face what you've hidden, it loses power over you. Imagine living free from the fear of judgment, speaking your truth, deciding with freedom, not seeking approval, but acting from what truly resonates within you. That's individuation. It's not about becoming someone else. It's about remembering who you are, without layers, masks, or permission. And the most astonishing part? You already have everything you need to begin. How do we start this journey toward ourselves? How do we bring to light what's lived so long in the shadows? Jung offered a powerful answer: through symbols, dreams, and introspection. He didn't see dreams as mere mental residue, but as messages from the unconscious, living images revealing hidden truths. Every symbol, every dream figure, is a part of you trying to communicate. But we can also access the unconscious through creation, art, writing, music. When we stop thinking and start expressing what's inside us, unfiltered, the hidden begins to emerge. And above all, through conscious awareness. The moment you start observing your thoughts with curiosity, the instant you ask, instead of reacting automatically, why did I feel this? Where does this emotion come from? Is it truly mine? Or is it a reflection of something deeper? That moment is a portal to your liberation. Because most people live as strangers to themselves. They follow paths laid out by others. They repress their truth. They cling to a persona. But you don't have to be one of them. You can break the cycle. You can choose to remember yourself. You can choose to leave behind the expectations that were never yours, the inherited ideas you never questioned, the emotions you didn't allow yourself to feel, because in every denied part lies a dormant seed, and when you observe them, accept them, integrate them, something magical happens. You begin to feel whole, not like someone new, but like someone complete, and in that moment, life, your real life, finally begins. If this journey were as simple as deciding I want to find myself, we'd all live aligned with our essence. But the path is deeper. It's not about wanting to be someone new. It's about discovering what shaped you, facing what you've repressed, and uniting the broken pieces you hid to survive. This raises a key question. Why do we keep repeating the same mistakes? Why, despite trying to change, do we fall back into the same patterns? Jung's answer was revolutionary. We're influenced by invisible structures within us, universal patterns residing in the collective unconscious. He called them archetypes. Archetypes are like psychological molds, eternal images found in all cultures, across all time. The sage, the hero, the villain, the child, the lover. They appear in myths, religions, movies, and dreams, and they're also in you. For example, the hero archetype. It's the part of you that longs for purpose, that feels there's more beyond comfort, that wants to conquer fear and grow. But always, alongside the hero, is the shadow, the obstacle, the monster. Why? Because the hero can only evolve by facing what they fear. The conflict between hero and shadow is a reflection of your inner life. Have you ever felt on the verge of taking an important step, but something inside held you back? Did you feel fear, doubt, paralysis? You weren't weak, you were facing your shadow, and that moment is the threshold between the self you were and the one you're meant to become. The biggest mistake we make is trying to eliminate the shadow, fighting it, pretending it doesn't exist. But Jung taught us that true power lies not in denial, but in integration. Take another example: insecurity. Many feel they're not enough.
that they don't deserve love, that they must constantly prove their worth. Where does that come from? Is it yours or was it planted in you? Maybe someone made you feel inadequate. Perhaps it was a look, a word, a betrayal, and you decided that to be loved, you had to hide your truth, your fragility, your desire. That insecurity is a shadow, and until you face it, it will keep sabotaging you. But here's the secret. Within that insecurity lies a lesson. Maybe it shows you need to learn to stand firm without depending on others, that the most important validation comes from within. Or perhaps it reveals a sensitivity that's an essential part of your wisdom. This is how the unconscious communicates, not with words but with symptoms, not with logic but with symbols. And when you listen, everything changes. You no longer see your flaws as enemies. You see them as messengers. You no longer run from your pain. You face it and learn from it. And little by little, the monster that terrified you becomes an ally. That's the power of individuation, turning darkness into light, and the rejected into wholeness. Archetypes aren't limited to the hero and the shadow. Jung uncovered even deeper forces within the human psyche, the anima and the animus. In every man there's a hidden feminine principle, the anima, and in every woman, a hidden masculine principle, the animus. This isn't about physical gender but internal energies. Intuition, creativity, sensitivity, the ability to connect with the soul, are expressions of the anima. Logic, structure, action, asserting the self, are manifestations of the animus. When these energies are in harmony, we feel fulfillment, but when we deny one part, we suffer. A man who rejects his anima may live emotionally disconnected, unable to express what he feels, afraid to show vulnerability. A woman who denies her animus may feel insecure about leading, making decisions, or asserting herself without guilt. And here's the key: what you deny in yourself controls you from the shadows. What you integrate frees you. Finding yourself doesn't mean becoming perfect. It means recognizing and embracing all that you are. The light and the dark, the strong and the sensitive, the rational and the intuitive. Individuation is the dance between these opposites, and when you learn to dance with them instead of fighting yourself, you finally become one. But there's still a deeper revelation, a truth that ties all the pieces together and challenges our most fundamental idea of identity. Jung understood something transformative. The self you believe you are isn't the whole of who you are. Most people live thinking their self is fixed, solid, permanent. But Jung, and many sages before and after him, realized that being isn't static. It's a river, a process, a totality in motion. What we call the self is just a part, the ego, a useful but limited structure. The ego says, I am this, and I am not that. It defines, it separates, it protects, but it also traps us. What if I told you your true being is far greater than that ego? That you're a totality encompassing both light and shadow, masculine and feminine, conscious and unconscious. Jung called it the self, not the individual, fragmented ego, but the deep, whole, archetypal being. The self doesn't fear integration. It doesn't run from pain. It isn't confined to a role. Finding yourself, then, isn't about inventing yourself. It's about remembering, reconnecting, reintegrating, becoming the unity you always were, but forgot. And when you take that step, life changes, because you no longer act out of fear, the need to fit in, or to please. You act from your true source, from a center unmoved by the world's winds. So why do we still feel lost, fragmented, incomplete? The answer lies in our relationship with the ego. The ego isn't bad. It gives us a sense of identity. It helps us function. But when we believe that's all we are, we suffer. Because the ego lives in fear. Fear of losing control. Fear of not being enough. Fear of change. The ego seeks certainty. The self embraces mystery. When we cling to the ego, we avoid emptiness, uncertainty, the unknown. But it's precisely in those spaces that transformation happens. Growth never occurs in safety, but at the edge of the abyss. And that's why Jung said, there is no enlightenment by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. True healing begins when we stop running from ourselves. When we stop protecting an image, and start discovering a truth. And what is that truth? You were never lost. You were just distracted. You'd just forgotten. Your essence, your soul, your depth, were always there, waiting for you to look back. And here's where the great paradox begins. To find yourself, you must be willing to lose yourself. Not in the world, but in yourself, in what you don't control, in what you've never dared to explore. This is what Jung called the descent into the unconscious, or the path to the self. It's not a journey outward, it's an immersion inward. It's surrendering to the unknown, with humility and courage. But you're not alone. No one makes this journey without guidance. And your guides are your soul, your intuition, your dreams, your symbols, your shadow, everything within you that you've ignored your whole life. Every emotion you repressed, every part of yourself you deemed unworthy, every impulse you silenced, are voices waiting to be heard, not to destroy you, but to help you heal. And healing doesn't mean fixing yourself. It means reuniting with yourself, returning to yourself, not as an ideal, but as a complete human being, broken, luminous, vulnerable, powerful, real. That's why life doesn't begin when everything is in order. Life begins when you find yourself, when you decide to step off the stage, remove the mask, and say, "This is me, with all that I am," and from there, transformation is inevitable, but there's still the final act, the most delicate, beautiful, and challenging moment, letting go of the illusion that you're incomplete, because you already are. You're far more than your history, your traumas, or your achievements. You're far more than your labels, your failures, or your wounds. You are totality itself, in motion, in construction, in awakening. The greatest illusion is believing you must become something more to be valuable, that you must reach some standard, validation, or perfection. But Jung would tell us, life isn't about perfection, it's about integrity. And integrity comes when you accept every part of yourself. You don't need to become someone else, you just need to remember who you've always been. Individuation isn't an achievement to boast about, it's a silent path. It's how you treat yourself, how you listen to your soul, how you choose to live with truth, even when it's uncomfortable. And in that authentic living, you begin to love, not from lack, but from wholeness, to love others without needing to control them, to love your shadow without wanting to eliminate it, to love life with all its mysteries. That's when everything changes. This is the final gift Jung left us. True life begins when you take responsibility for yourself, when you stop waiting for the world to define you, when you realize the only truth that matters is yours. Finding yourself isn't a destination, it's a daily choice. It's a sacred commitment to what you feel, who you are, what you dream, and above all, it's a way to live awake. Not everyone is ready for this journey. Many will prefer to keep sleeping, acting, running. But you, if you've made it this far, you've already begun. You've already opened the door, and now you can choose to walk through it. You can choose a life where your presence is authentic, your voice is free, and your existence is yours, because you were never lost. You just forgotten to look within. Today you can remember. Today you can find yourself. And when you do, everything in you will say, "This is where my true life begins."